I know, I've been missing in action for a week or more. Truth of the matter is, I've been wrestling with the problem. My little solar setup has been not working, and I've bought new leads and new plugs and this, that. My multimeter has decided that it doesn't want to measure amps. When I set it up to measure amps, as soon as I put the contacts on the wires, the screen goes blank. So I've had to order a new one of those. It's been a very, very frustrating week. Anyway, I finally got to the point where I've got both panels working again. Okay, there we have it. Now then, two panels. This one isn't mounted as yet. And the one up there is, and that's only a temporary thing, just to get it up off the ground, and if it works all right, I'll make it a more permanent installation. I actually bought some Z brackets, and do you think I can find them? No. Anyway, this one down here, this is the first one I bought, and I'll go and sit down again. Yeah, they're identical. They're both the same, but I couldn't get the first one to work, and it turned out that this was my old multimeter. I connected it to the wires, and it'd flash a reading and then go back to zero. I thought it was the panel because I'd never had a problem with the multimeter before. So I went into discussions with the vendors. I sent the panel back. They checked it out and said they couldn't find anything wrong with it. So I said, okay, send it back again, all at my expense. And I bought a new multimeter just in case that was a problem. Lo and behold, when I got the new multimeter, everything checked out fine. Anyway, I've never had much luck with MC4 connectors. I've tried putting them together and they've never worked, so I gave up on them, and I decided to switch over to Anderson plugs. So I cut the MC4 connectors off that particular panel and put an Anderson plug on it, which I removed when I sent it back. So when I got it back again, I put MC4s on it, and plugging the multimeter into the MC4s, they worked. I got a voltage. But when I plugged other MC4s into it, at the other end of that lead, I didn't get voltage. And that's what I've been battling with for the last couple of weeks. Same problem with two panels, but not exactly the same problem, because the second panel, I was so pleased with the first one that I bought a second one, and I left the MC4s on it and made up a lead with MC4s going to an Anderson plug at the other end, because where my charge controllers are is all Anderson plugs still. The problem I had, and this is what's taken me a week or more to work out, is that when you put the MC4 together, here's an MC4, you crimp the pin on, and you insert the pin into the body of the plug, and I was just pushing it in, screwing the back on. Happy days. Doesn't work. First of all, when you insert the pin into the body of the plug, you've got to push it in quite firmly until you hear an audible click. Then you assemble all the rest of it, and you have to get these spanners, MC4 spanners, insert one there and one there, and you turn this. Of course that doesn't want to fit. You turn that until it clicks. So you've got two clicks you've got to watch out for, and I was not aware of that, hence I wasn't doing it. They didn't work. When you put the probes of the multimeter into the end of the plug, like into here, it works because you're touching the actual plug. But when you plug the other half of the MC4 in, they're not reaching each other. So that's what that problem was, and it took a lot of head scratching and so on to figure it out. Anyway, I finally got there, and now both my systems are working again. So I'm back. And that's really all I wanted to say today. I haven't got anything new except for that little problem I had. But when I've got something to talk about, I'll make another video. I did mention in the last one about if you're renting, you can have solar. Right. I'll just explain what I meant by that briefly, because there's so many of you on tenterhooks waiting for me to drop the other boot. So I'll tell you now. You can ground mount your panels. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate, as long as they don't get blown over by the wind. All right. You've seen how I've mounted that one vertically. That's not hard to do. And then I've just got the other end of it, the battery and the charging controller and all that, on a cheap Bunnings rack that costs about $15, and that takes care of the other end of it. So it doesn't have to be elaborate. You can make it as big or as small as you want. I started off with a 5-watt panel I got from Jaycar and a 7 kilowatt-hour battery I got from Jaycar, and started playing around with that, and some LED strip lights, as in lights that are in strips. And I've got a piece here somewhere. There it is. This has been kicking around for years. That's the stuff I mean. I played around with that for a couple of years, made up nights. These 3 LEDs is the minimum. So I was setting up 3 LEDs and then a strip for in the house, and I got these double pole double throw switches, so they've got 3 positions. In the middle is off, but up and down are both on. So what I could do is I could have the light off altogether, or I could have this switched on, or I can have the little strip of 3 switched on as a night light. And that worked so well, I still do it to this day. Marvellous idea. You can get up and you know, it doesn't sound much, 3 LEDs, But at night, when you've been asleep, you wake up, there's enough light to see by. I worked this out years ago. You could walk around the house by the light of the display on your VCR or your digital clock when they started using the LED displays. So that was what gave me that idea. And the advantage is that you don't hurt your eyes by switching lights on, and you don't stub your toes because there's enough light to see by. And as I say, I've been doing that forever, the last 25 years, since I started playing with LEDs and things. No, not quite 25 years, 15 years perhaps. Anyway, whatever. So that's it. Anyway, I can't think of anything else I want to say today, so I'll sign off. Like, comment, subscribe if you so desire, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.